It would be terrific if we could interview everybody who's been on the stage tonight, graduating, and perhaps afterwards in the foyer you'll be able to speak to some of them and find out more about what they're doing this year. But Susan's here as a representative of the diploma people, and I've got a few things that I'd like to ask her about. Susan, tell us, why did you decide to come to Moore and do the Diploma of Bible and Missions?
I've always wanted to come to Bible college for as long as I can remember, and I've always been interested in missions for as long as I've been a Christian. So for the most part, my Bible teachers have gone through Moore College, so that was part of the reason I made the choice to come to Moore. The other reason was that I got to live down the road from my older sister for a year. I began primary school teaching a few years ago, and I realised with some degree of shock that I really quite liked it. And I loved the ministry opportunities that it gave me. So I did the one-year course because I knew that it would allow me to go to college and return to the job that I love. So.
Great. Can you tell us what the best thing was about your year at Moore?
It's very hard to boil it down to one thing, unless I just say the vibe. So I guess it's a combination of being really inspired by people who read the Bible very carefully and very thoughtfully, who ask questions that I didn't think to ask, who uncover things in the text that I wouldn't have dreamed were there. So a combination of that, and of course studying alongside people who, like me, are wrestling and striving to know God better, and striving to live out that knowledge of God. I think a really important thing is that it's given me direction in terms of what I want to study next, what I want to read next, and where I want to go.
And what do you want to study next? What do you want to read next? Where do you want to go?
Big questions. I think I've really been intrigued by narrative and the way we read narrative. So reading a bit about that at the moment. I'm thinking about teaching overseas still, which has been sort of a long-term plan. And looking for opportunities where God can use me.
So you've just been back at Shell Harbour Anglican College, 8 weeks since the start of the year?
Yes.
Is there any way already that you've been able to use what you've learnt at Moore?
Yeah, it's sort of interesting. In some ways, I could tell you that nothing has really changed. Because I've returned to the same school, I'm teaching some of the same children. My responsibilities haven't really changed that much. And so, in some ways, it feels like I'm just returning to normal life. But then in another sense, everything has changed because I'm changed. Because during the year at college, my heart was taught to more fully honour Christ. And that's enormously helpful, and it changes the way I run the chapel program and do devotions with my class, the way I teach Christian studies, and it changes my interactions with my children and with the other staff. So it really has changed a lot. I think particularly the Diploma of Bible and Missions, I think it has reconvinced me of the greatness of our salvation and the preciousness of Christ. Looking intently into Buddhism and Islam last year, it just helps you to realise the kinds of bondage that people in our world are living under. And again, looking at the history of Christian mission, you meet some heroic and horrendous examples of evangelists, and you are in a way spurred on and reminded of the urgency of the message that we need to preach.
Great. Thanks very much, Susan.